Okay, read it nicely, sound it out. No, that's letter T makes what sound? Good. Good job. Upside down. Good. No, there's no S at the end. Try one more time. No S at the end. Good job. Yes. Good job. Okay.
Look at wants to cook. Apple,
Look at.
Book. We need at Richton Elwin. Space Battle. The time has come for the rebels to put their plan into action. The rebels fly X-Wings when attacking the Death Star with the Empire forces trying to blast down in their TIE fighters. The fast and furious battle takes place deep in space.
Hi there, I'm Jim. I'm a reading teacher and I'm a father of 4 kids, Rain, Ethan, Joy, and Zoe. So I started teaching my 4 kids to read when they're all around just 2.5 years old, and by the time they were around 3.5, they were all reading independently. So at bedtime, instead of having me read bedtime stories to them, they were reading bedtime stories to me. So it was pretty awesome. Now, the video that you just saw now shows my son's reading progress, Ethan's reading progress over a roughly 2.5 year period. It shows his reading progress after 4 weeks, after 12 weeks, and then at 4 months, it's showing him reading books on his own, like Cooking with a Cat. And then by the time he was about 5, he could basically read any book you give him. And you saw him reading that Star Wars book. And he was reading it with so much expression because he loves that stuff. He is a huge Star Wars fan. Okay, so you're probably thinking, Jim, you're a reading teacher and your kids are probably smart, so it's natural that they learn to read early. But do smart kids learn to read early, or does learning to read early make kids smarter? I know for certain that reading early makes kids smarter, and even science has shown that reading can boost a child's IQ by over 6 points. That's huge. And I see it firsthand with my own kids and with all the students that I've taught over the years, that they're not only just amazing readers, but they do incredibly well in school. You might even think that I'm a typical Asian tiger dad, tiger mom type, and really I am not. When I teach my kids to read, I spend at most 5 to 10 minutes a day. That's it. Just 5 to 10 minutes. Now, I've been teaching kids to read for 10 years now, and I work with kids as young as just 2, 3, 4 years old to teach them to read. And I also work with older, struggling readers, that 6 to 10-year-old group, where these kids, they're really, really, really struggling with their reading. And a lot of these kids that I've taught, they were about to fail their grade because, they just simply could not read. And when I get these kids to my program, I see the shame and the self-blame in these kids, and I see the burden and the stress that parents are under because their children could not read. And it's frustrating because these are perfectly normal, smart, and very intelligent children, but why can't they read? These kids, they can't read because the system sets them up to fail. At schools, they teach kids to read using whole language, sight words. They teach kids to guess and predict what words are based on context and clues and the pictures that they see. And they even use word shapes to teach kids to read. And with all the struggling readers that I've worked with, this is the primary cause of their reading problems, of their reading frustration, and the source of their stress. Reading becomes such a stressful event for these kids that they're so withdrawn from it. They just don't want to do it. But when I get these kids to my program, I teach them using the proper methods. I don't teach sight words. I don't teach them to guess and predict. It just doesn't work. And usually within about 8 to 10 weeks, I have these kids caught up, and it's an amazing transformation from not knowing how to read to being able to read at grade level. And then usually several months after that, they're actually excelling beyond grade level. So why can't these kids read? It's not their fault. It is not their parents' fault. It is because of how reading is taught. I have a 2-minute animated video coming up that's going to explain to you exactly how and why teaching sight words can lead to serious reading problems. So please watch it.
How does teaching sight words lead to reading problems in children? You see, English is an alphabet-based language where the words we see comprise of individual letters or a combination of letters which represent different sounds. And these sounds combine together to form the words we hear. When you teach the memorization of sight words, you are in effect teaching English as if it were a character-based language such as Chinese, where each character represents a meaning, and the only way to learn is to memorize the shapes of the characters. English words were never designed to be memorized as shapes. When you teach a child to read using sight words, the child learns by memorizing the shapes of the words. The child must rely on visual cues to try to figure out what a word is, and this quickly leads to confusion and frustration. The key stumbling block is that there are so many words with similar shapes that look alike. Let me give you a few examples. Bunt, hunt, hurt. Barn, born, burn. 3, there, these. The list goes on. This combined with school-taught reading strategies of guessing and skipping over unknown words, you can quickly see how and why so many of our children struggle daily with reading. Imagine this is your child trying to learn to read by memorizing sight words. Let's introduce 20 new words. So far so good. Now how about we teach 20 more words? Not too bad. How about 50 more? 100 more? 500 more? The Oxford Dictionary contains over 170,000 English words. You need to have a vocabulary of about 3,000 words to be able to read around 95% of all common texts. How successful do you think your child or anyone will be at memorizing 3,000 words? Besides, do you really want to make your child suffer through the confusion and frustration of memorizing hundreds and even thousands of words? The confusion of word shapes is often a cause of reading difficulties, and so often when I work with struggling readers, I have to first break their habit of seeing words as a whole and show them that there is a simple and effective way to figure out what a word is by its parts.
So, what do you think? Makes a lot of sense, right? So if teaching sight words can actually lead to serious reading problems, how should we teach our children to read? Now, I'm going to share with you what I call my 2 pillars of teaching effective reading, and it is what I use with every single one of my children and all of my students, and it is what achieves amazing results for all of these children. It just works, okay? Now, the 2 pillars, the first one is called synthetic phonics, and the second one you may or may not heard of before is called phonemic awareness, okay? Now, most people will know what phonics is, but not all phonics instructions will produce optimal results. The best and most effective phonics method is synthetic phonics, where we teach everything in a very systematic, logical, and sequential order, okay? But teaching phonics by itself is not enough. There's one thing that is missing from how reading is taught everywhere, and that is phonemic awareness. Now, you might be wondering, what is phonemic awareness? Because, most people probably have never even heard of this. What phonemic awareness is, it is dealing with hearing and listening for the smallest sound units in English, okay? If you think about it, what makes a word sound the way they do? It is, yes, there are letters inside the words that represent different sounds, and that's what we learn in phonics, but it is how you connect these sounds to string together these sounds to get the word that matters the most. Because, you can teach a kid all the sounds, but if they don't know what to do with the sounds, it's not going to do them a whole lot of good. Most people don't even believe that, kids so young can read until they see the videos that I show them, just like the video that you just saw of my son learning to read when he was just 2.5 years old. But, but I can, because phonemic awareness is my secret sauce. Okay. It is what I teach, and I'm going to share it with you today. Okay. I have a book titled How to Teach Any Child to Read Using This Proven Method. And in my book, I talk about how I go about teaching my students to read, and I explain precisely why teaching phonemic awareness is so critical and important. And the great thing about phonemic awareness is that, when we teach it through all fun games and activities. We don't just sit a child down and do drills with them. In my book, I share with you several really fun and engaging phonemic awareness activities that you can do with your child. It's going to keep them entertained, and it's going to teach them phonemic awareness and help them become a better reader at the same time. Okay. And there's also a daily action plan that you can follow. You follow the steps listed in there, and you're going to see great results. And there are also phonemic awareness worksheets that you can use to work on with your child as well. Parents, this is your opportunity. Get the book at an incredible price and follow the daily action plan. Start doing the recommended exercises and engage your child in the fun games and activities. And I guarantee you, they won't even realize that you are teaching them the most vital skill to succeed. And dive right in with our worksheets. So get involved, take action, and get real results so that you give your child the best tools available to achieve their potential. So click the button you see in this video, or the link you see in this post, or wherever you see it, and I'll see you on the other side.